Smarterfan. Smarterfan. Yeah. Smarterfan.
Hey, everybody, welcome to another segment of Smarter Fan Podcast, where we bring you behind the veil of sports, business, and life. I'm Joe, and this is Barry. How you doing, Barry?
Well, you know what they say. The OJs used to say, money, 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 money. Oh, listen, I'm in prime heaven now. I'm in Coach Prime heaven right now, Joe. I'm on fire tonight.
ah,
What's up? How you
all right,
doing? How you feeling?
I'm feeling fine. I'm just I had a hell of a day, but I'm feeling fine.
Shake it off, brother. Shake your shoulders up and down like this. Shake it off, man. Shake it off, man. Yeah, shake it off.
Yeah,
Shake it off. Come on. Come on, baby. Shake it
yeah,
off.
I'm good. I'm good. So, so why don't you kick it off tonight?
All right, all right. I want my fans to know we kicking off with the. I'm gonna tell you right up front. I'm going to the LSU women. Then I'm going to Coach Prime. Then I'm going to talk about some money. Then I'm going to talk about Coach Prime. I'm going to talk about these recruits, and I'm going to take you behind the veil tonight on helping a lot of people who just don't know. I see some of the most ridiculous articles, and so I want to put a few things to bed, and I'm going to say them
Mm,
formally on Smarter Fan Podcast.
mhm,
One, the first thing I'm going to say is Coach Prime has introduced, the portal has introduced, listen to me, free agency to college sports.
mm,
That is what you're seeing. So all you
mhm,
people all got your drawers in a bunch. Relax. This is the way it's going to be. You're just seeing it. People used to leave one college to another. You lose a year of eligibility, or you'd have to wait a year. You couldn't play immediately. The same system is
mm,
on steroids right now. So kids are
mm,
being able to move around, and it's a free agency market. Now, with that, let me take you behind the veil even further. There's going to be top tier, middle tier, bottom tier, right? So a lot of kids, if they don't have good advisement, it's not going to work out for them, right?
right. Yeah.
And so you really got to take time out. It's just like when free agency hit baseball with Kurt Flood, right?
Mm,
It's always going to be an upheaval, but it's really not an upheaval, quite honestly. It's a loosening of the money and allowing more people to have access to the money, which is what they're not really explaining to fans. Because now
mhm,
what is going to happen to the game, collegiate game, is athletes are going to have the ability to choose, just like you saw the LSU women do. Is nah, I'm not leaving. I can make more money in
right.
college than going to the pros. I can have the
Mhm,
best of both worlds, right? I can take care of my family. I don't have to grow up so fast. So it's a great thing for athletes. What I've been waiting to hear, but I haven't heard much, is for the NCAA to step up and say, well, we're also going to give these athletes 3 years of academic eligibility after their playing eligibility is over, since the NCAA loves to tout how much they support student athletes. Well, if anyone knows what D1, D2, even D3 football is, it's a full time and a half a time job. So it's brutal. So these kids need the ability, because not everybody's going to go pro, and athletes should be able to have the choice of going pro or not and still making a ton of money, right? There's guys who go to college and they have great college careers and never make any money, and then they go pro and it doesn't work out for many reasons, right?
yeah.
They made the college and the university millions of dollars,
Uh-huh.
millions. They should have a piece of that pie. So I needed to put that to bed. So free
Mhm,
agent college sports is free agency right now. These kids are going to need to sit down and get advisement of, so they don't end up jumping from the frying pan. Somebody asked me this. Let me put it this way, Joe. Somebody put it to me this way. They
mhm,
said, if you had a son, would you want him to play for Colorado? I would say I would ask my son three things. What do you want to accomplish there? Do you want to
Yeah.
go pro, or do you just want to have a great college
Yeah. Yeah.
career? See, people need to ask these tough questions because the commitment level to play D1 is one thing. To be D1 and get to the show in the NFL is another mindset.
Hmm.
Even when you get there, there's a guys that I know. They say to me, Barry, my dream was to make it to the league, but I didn't have a dream past that, and I was out of the league in a very short period of time. You got
Yeah.
to
It happens.
be specific about what you want to get out of it. A lot of things happen, a lot of things you don't control happen. So, as we always do a Smarter Fan Pod, parent, I would say that. So, my son says to me, Dad, I want to go pro. I said, all right, do you understand the level of commitment, sacrifice that's going to take? Don't look at the shine, look at the grind, right?
Yeah.
I would humbly say if you want to do that, your best place to play, if you can handle, well, if I know my son, if he has the personality to handle the lights, I would say that's a good fit. If he doesn't have the ability to handle the lights at this stage of his career, I would tell
Hmm.
him that. I said it may be a little
Right.
bit too bright for you in Colorado
Right.
because
Right.
with so many eyeballs, and that's good and that's bad. It's good if you're prepared for it. It's bad if you're not because everything you do is scrutinized. Like Travis Hunter made All American. Travis Hunter Shador is doing his thing, right?
Hmm.
He relishes in the big lights. He loves it. Pearl Hornig
Yeah.
Award, All American, right?
Hmm.
If you're built for it, it's okay. But if you're not built for it, it can be a problem. If I'm an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman, bruh, and I want to go to the league, oh, I'm trying to go to Colorado, bruh.
Hmm.
I'm trying to go to Colorado. Why? This is what I shared with the other person, part two. There are maybe a handful of coaches who can get on the phone. I explained it this way: a handful of coaches who can get on the phone and talk directly to a GM
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
who has the pedigree that Coach Prime has. What does that mean? Literally, there's three ways to get in the league: drafted, undrafted, and somebody makes a phone call and says, "Hey, I got this kid. He's the real deal. You need to sign him and get signed." See, if you don't understand these things, you think there's just one way, Joe, but there isn't just one way because
Yeah.
everybody's looking for a talent. Everybody at the next level is looking for that guy that's going to give them the edge. See what I'm saying? Do you think
Yeah.
all those teams that passed on Jalen Hurts aren't licking their chops right now? Like we didn't pass. Who made that decision?
They're not licking their chops.
Who
They're kicking themselves.
kicking himself? Who said Brown could leave Tennessee? Who made that decision? You see what I'm saying? Who made that
Yeah.
decision? Oh my goodness! Oh my god! What? Right? So these are the things. So everyone's looking for an edge. I have a coach like that. If I play for Colorado, all I got to do is ball out.
Mm.
All I got to do is ball out. Learn
Hmm.
the system. Learn what I got to do. Execute on and off the field, and I'm going to get an opportunity.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
I had a son, I would tell him that if you're prepared for it, because you got to take the good with the bad. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
That's for sure. That's for
You know.
sure.
So let me just. I just wanted to massage that in there. Put a little piece in the valley for people who are all upset. All upset. So what about you, buddy? What you got tonight? I
Uh,
got more though. I got more.
I want to talk about the king and not Elvis. Richard Petty.
Yeah,
Okay.
number 43.
That's right. This
The
man,
king.
his career spanned from
Whew.
58 to 92, you know, and most of his success was in the 60s and 70s.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he in 65, NASCAR outlawed the Hemi. So in protest, Chrysler and him boycotted NASCAR, and so he went to drag racing.
Oh
And
wow.
yeah,
That's
he
how
was
he got
pretty
over
successful.
there.
Huh?
That's how he got over there.
Yeah. So
I
he
didn't
went.
know that.
He was pretty successful there, but he had one mishap where he unfortunately he crashed his car and he killed an 8-year-old boy and he injured
Oh
7
wow.
other people. Yeah, it was it was a big deal, but they he got through it. Everybody got through it, and then NASCAR reinstated the Hemi, so he came back, and in
Wow.
'67, yeah, he won 27 races, 10 of them in a row. And that's what earned
Mm.
him the title the King.
Mm. He for
So,
sure was the king. Like you kinging me with all this trivia, I can never catch up to you all. Oh my goodness, it must be 20-1 by now. Jeez.
so the 60s and 70s were good to him, but the 80s and 90s, not so much. Okay, all right, he won 2 Daytona 500s in 79 and 81.
Hmm.
And in 84, he won his 200th and last win.
Mm.
So, and then in 88, he was in a really violent crash in Daytona at the
Mm.
500, you know. So, a couple of years after that, he retired
Hmm.
and, he's still active in NASCAR, but
Sure.
the Petties have spanned 4 generations of racing, starting with
Wow.
Lee, Richard, Kyle, and Adam. Now, unfortunately, Adam was killed in a crash in New Hampshire on a practice run in 2000,
Oh wow.
and that was 5 weeks after Lee had passed away.
What?
So yeah, so the Petties have went through a really tough time, but he's head of Petty Enterprises, and he owns the number 43, which we saw Bubba Wallace drive.
Hmm.
And so he's doing pretty good. And like I said, I met the man. He's
Hmm.
nothing but class, you know.
Mm.
And when he does a signing, he will not leave until there's nobody left.
Wow.
That's he's just class all the way. Very, very nice man. I was very privileged to meet him, you know.
Absolutely. I see you hamming it up there. Just got that ham smile on. I see you.
So, that's my little snippet on Richard Petty. So what
Well,
else you
that's a
got?
good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Well, I saw something today, my friend. I don't even know if they really realized what they did, but the
Hmm.
lights went on in my head. There was an interview with the LSU women, and
Hmm.
they were asking them, for instance, man, I got to take a deep breath. Imagine seeing the best college female college player female and the
Mhm.
best pro team up against the best male pro and the best female pro. I would watch that
Mm.
on a
Yeah.
2-on-2. I would watch that.
Mm.
That could be very entertaining, right?
Oh, I bet.
I mean, Kyrie Irving with Tarasi or whoever, or you mix in, the college girls with a pro. You know what I mean? That could
Right.
be
Yeah.
very entertaining. I'm going to call my boy Ice Cube. Let him know, Ice, make this the halftime. Make this the halftime, Ice. Make this the halftime. You got the 3-on-3. Nice. Then, boom, hit him with the halftime. That would be
Mm-mm-mm.
entertaining. You wouldn't watch that?
Sure. Sure. Who wouldn't?
Exactly my point. So they
Who
put it
wouldn't?
out there, and I said, man, I got to talk about that tonight. That'll probably give Joe 40 points and give me 2 points. He still lost. It's a terrible thing. Terrible thing, fans. Terrible. But I'm trying.
Uh,
I don't give up. I don't give up. But yeah,
hey.
I said, wow, that's a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
I would watch that. I would watch that over the dunk contest. I would watch it. I would watch that.
Yeah.
So you know what I got to talk about.
Good.
No, let me pass the ball to you. I don't want to be greedy tonight. What you got for me, Joe? What you got?
Well,
Be and be me.
we
Be
had a crazy week in the NFL. I mean,
oh my goodness.
the Cowboys. found themselves in a shootout with the
Mhm.
Seahawks
Mhm.
in a penalty filled game, and I thought for sure that the Cowboys would just shoot themselves in the foot enough times to lose the game.
Mhm.
But evidently, the Seahawks shot themselves in the foot more, so the
Yep.
Cowboys pulled the game out. Now, the Cowboys this week, they're going to be facing the Eagles. Now, when I tell you, remember Foghorn Leghorn when he
Mhm.
used to grab the dog by the tail and beat him with the stick?
Mhm.
Well, that's what the 49ers did to the Eagles. They just,
It was that bad?
oh, God, yeah. The 49ers scored when they felt like it.
Wow.
The score was 42-19.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
they
it was
put a
crazy.
shellacking on them.
Yeah, and that was in Philly.
Ooh.
Yeah, so they just put they put a whooping on them, I have to say. You know, and I understand that football wants parity, but we have seen some bad offensive games. I mean, the
Yeah.
Chargers beat the Patriots by a baseball score. They threw a 6-0 shutout.
I don't know what's going on. What do you think that's about?
I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. It's just
You
is
think
it
the season's too
coaching?
long?
I don't think it's that. I think it's just a lot of quarterbacks have been getting injured this year. A lot of the main quarterbacks,
Yeah. Yeah.
like Burrow and Rodgers, and so a lot of quarterbacks have gone down, and these backups just start getting it done. You know,
No, it's
but
not easy being a backup. You're a second, third team. You don't get as many. You're not with the first team. And then they always want to
yeah.
throw you out there when it's money time. It don't really
Mm-hmm.
work that way.
You
You
know,
know, but you're paying so much money, they got to perform.
exactly,
That's
exactly.
why I think this whole thing with the free agency of the collegiate market is going to help slow that down because
Mm,
now teams are going to realize I don't have as much access to talent as I used to. So I got to start
yeah.
taking care of my talent, start coaching my talent, start training my talent, and stop
Mm.
being lazy coaches. You know how I feel about that. A lot of
I know.
lazy coaching going on. A lot.
You know. Now the Dolphins, they're another team with a generic record because they haven't beaten a team over 500. So,
Yeah,
they've yet to be tested,
correct.
and the Texans, they bounced back, against Denver, and that's going to get interesting because they are right on the Jags' butt. So that division is up for grabs, especially since
Yeah,
Cincinnati beat the Jags, and
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So and then there's the thing with Von Miller. Okay,
Where is he now?
he's with what's he with? He's with Buffalo,
You still there?
and yeah, he's still with Buffalo, and he's being allowed to play this week, despite the fact that he had uh, a domestic violence issue. You know, and he
I
they
feel.
had they
Oh,
Yeah, they
go
put
ahead.
out a warrant, and he turned himself into the police because evidently he tried to choke out the mother of his children, and he pulled her hair and threw her down and whatever. So now that's under investigation. So hey,
I,
it
I
still
just, I,
goes on.
I just feel so bad because I've had, when people hear that, they always think the worst, but they don't. I have had a friend who went through that, and he never put
Mm,
his hands on anybody. But if
mm,
she says certain words,
mm-hmm,
and you know what I'm saying, and just makes the accusation. I have friends who are police officers. They're like Barry. No matter, she just calls and says he could be in California, and
mm,
I'm not trying to belittle domestic violence at all,
yeah, right,
not
yeah,
at all. But I think there are people who abuse it,
mm,
and I just guys got to get, in my humble opinion, guys got to get a lot smarter about who they lay down with.
mm,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you know. Somebody asked me today what I thought about the Joe Smith. How could he blow $60 million? Blah 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 blah. Tearing my ears off. Just tearing my
Mm.
ears off, Joe. Tearing
Hmm.
my ears off. And I looked at the person and I said, if you don't have somebody coaching you and showing you how this works, he's got. Think how crazy that I said to the person. Think how crazy this is. You become a multimillionaire. You made
Mm.
60 million. Let's cut that in half because this is America. So that's
Mm.
30 million actually take home. Probably more like 18 after paying all the attorneys and people you got to pay, right?
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Now you meet a woman or you meet a couple women, you lay down with them. You don't pay them at the level of income they were making. You pay compensation based on your lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And the person was like, "Excuse me?" I was like, "Yeah, I have a friend who's a judge. I've got people who work in child support." And I asked him, "How does that work like that?" He says, "It's just the way it is."
Yeah.
I said,
Yeah.
"Doesn't it make any sense?" He says, "Well, yeah, it doesn't make any sense, but that's the way they set it up." And
Mm-hmm.
these people work in the system. And I'm like, that is crazy. Like, it's not like, Bob Johnson who owned BET and then sold
Right.
it for a couple billion and then wrote his ex-wife who helped him build the company actually.
Jeez.
He gave her half. He didn't give her half. She earned half and made
Right.
her a billionaire. See what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
that's crazy. Yeah.
And I said, now that makes sense. But for these guys, man, you come and the woman you're dealing with doesn't even make six figures, and then it doesn't work out, and you got to support her and that child at a multi-million-dollar level that you're
Mm.
at, and that you don't, it has nothing. I'm not even talking about the kids. I'm just like, this doesn't make any sense. And so guys got to really become, because this is the fastest way to get to the poorhouse. Because you say, how could he blow through all that money? But if you have four different baby mamas,
Mm. Yeah.
four host households, you got to maintain them all at a multi-million-dollar level lifestyle.
That's for damn sure. And it's
So if you don't have the acumen or the ability to be like magic, you know what I'm saying? You know, that's where it comes back around to bite you,
yep.
right? Because you
Yep.
got all this money, you're not making those checks anymore. And if you didn't do your investments right, see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can burn down that money real quick.
And
Because
they
those kids,
have.
think about it, you got to maintain those kids. You're not maintaining them at a normal level or even
Mm.
above normal level. You're providing a lifestyle for them and the mother of those children as though you would have to be a number one draft pick literally for the next 20 years. You'd have to make that kind of money to maintain that.
I don't know how Cromartie did it.
I
I
don't
think
know
he had
how
like
he
10
did it.
kids.
I don't know how he did it.
10
Cromartie was a
kids,
magician. I don't
four
know.
baby mamas.
I don't know how he did it. But again, you're young, you got a lot of testosterone, you got money, you're living in a very you're living your dream.
Right.
You're living your dream and you need discipline. You need somebody to say, hey, this is today, but it don't mean it's gonna be tomorrow. And you gotta maximize this moment. And you can't be
Mm.
out here because that thing will take you to the poorhouse faster than anything. And that's unfortunately what, the impact that it's had on Joe's career, unfortunately. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why I'm a big that's the other side of why I believe athletes need to make money in college so they can learn how to manage it,
Mm.
learn how to grow it, learn how to save. Like
And
you don't need a Bentley. You need a
yeah,
Bentley when you need a Bentley if you want a Bentley or a Ferrari when you leave the league. not when
Hmm.
you're in the midst of it. You need to get that money working for you by buying
Yeah.
assets that are going to pay you. You see what I'm
Mm.
saying?
Unfortunately, a lot of guys don't realize this.
Unfortunately,
You know,
unfortunately,
some of these guys need life coaches.
yeah, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, CEOs have life coaches.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why we're so like averse to that. Like anybody successful will tell you, I have a coach. How else are you going to get better?
Mm-hmm.
Steve Jobs had a coach. Bill Gates has a coach. Yeah, you
Mm-hmm.
don't live in a bubble. You have to be
Yeah.
coached.
Yeah. Well,
Insight, perspective. Hmm.
they don't have that kind of foresight. A lot of them.
Well, as a friend of mine that I interviewed at the Barclays after the Barclays event for Coach Ted Gustis, he kind of said, I asked him what, I kind of what you said, and he said, Barry, you just feel like you're Superman, and you just really, and he had a long career. He did some smart things, but he said, man, if I could tell my 21-year-old self, you know, a lot of stupid purchases I made that I didn't need to make. And even Charles
Mm-hmm.
Barkley talked about that when Dr. J says you can only drive one car.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Why you need 6, 7 cars? You only can drive one because it becomes an expense. You got to
Of
maintain
course.
it, you got to insure it, and all that comes with it. You see what I'm saying? It's not just buying it. You got to, it's what behind, and all that takes from your income. So you got to learn. One of the smartest moves that I just read about that because we're going to talk about money more next week. But one of the smartest things that Magic Johnson did, um, he leveraged a lot of his company's growth right into buying an insurance company.
Mm.
And next week I'll tell you why.
All right, folks. Well, thanks for checking us out. And check us out again next week on another segment of Smarter Fan Podcast. Have a good evening.
Smarterfan.